Hi guys, the group stages of the 2025-26 Champions League season has just been concluded, and all the teams now know their final standing in this season's group phase. So ahead of the draws on Friday, let's establish who could possibly play against who as we continue on the road to Budapest 2026. Some things to note. UEFA has changed a couple of rules in the past few years, and they would affect these draws going forward. First of all, there is no more country protection. So before, you wouldn't have two teams from the same country meet before the quarterfinals. For example, Real Madrid couldn't play Barcelona up until the quarterfinals, or Arsenal couldn't play against, say, Liverpool. But that's no longer the case. Any team can be drawn to play against any team, even if they're from the same country. Another thing to note, the top two teams cannot play against each other. So the reward for Arsenal and Bayern Munich finishing first and second on the table means that they cannot play against each other earlier than the final. The only way they can meet is if both teams make it to the final. Lastly, even though this has been in place for a while, away goals no longer exist. I feel like people forget about that a lot. Yeah, no more away goals. So your aggregate scoreline at the end of the 290-minute games is all that matters. No more home or away goals.
Okay, here we go. These are your top 8 teams. Arsenal in first, Bayern Munich in second, up onto Manchester City in eighth, who's sneaking ahead of serial winners Real Madrid. It's very obvious to me that the Premier League teams are doing very well because 5 of the 8 teams come from the English Premier League. For these 8 teams, their reward for finishing in the top 8 is an automatic bye to the round of 16. So while other teams are fighting it out for the right to play in the round of 16, these 8 will be home watching the games on the TV like you and I. It is important to note that these top 4 teams, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, and Spurs, will play the second leg of their round of 16 tie and the quarterfinal at home. Arsenal and Bayern retain this advantage up until the semi-final. However, note that if any team manages to eliminate either of these top 4 teams in the rounds leading up to the quarterfinal or the semi-final, they inherit that advantage and take it up until the semi-final or the quarterfinal, as the case may be. Next up are the teams who placed positions 9 to 16, Real Madrid up until Bayer Leverkusen. They'll play the playoffs versus the teams who finished between positions 17 and 24. It will be a two-legged tie, and the winner over the 2 legs would qualify to the round of 16 and meet up with the teams who already qualified directly from these group stages. But the pairings are not random. Real Madrid and Inter, for example, who finished 9th and 10th, will play against either Bodo Glimt or Benfica, who finished in positions 23 and 24. So what I mean is either Real Madrid plays against Bodo Glimt or Benfica, or Inter plays against Bodo Glimt or Benfica. The exact opponent will be confirmed during the draws on Friday. But I wouldn't be surprised if fate gives us another Benfica versus Real Madrid tie, so they can continue the drama from where they left off today. The teams who finish in 11th and 12th will play against the teams who finished in 21st and 22nd place, and so on and so forth, up until the draws are completed. Last thing to note, the teams who currently occupy 9 to 16 in this group phase get to play the second leg of the playoffs at home. They will play on home turf. This third batch are the teams that finished between position 17 and position 24. Borussia Dortmund all the way to Benfica. Please, if you haven't seen the Benfica versus Real Madrid game, please go look for the highlights. Benfica were all but out, and they were saved in the 98th minute by a goal from their goalkeeper, knocking Marseille into 25th position and out of this season's Champions League altogether. As I said earlier, these teams played the decisive leg, that is the second leg, away from home. Sadly, for the teams that finished in position 25 to 36, their European campaign comes to an end tonight. They're done in Europe for this season. It's time to go back home and focus on their domestic league and do whatever it is they can to be back here next season competing in the 2026-2027 Champions League. So these are all the possible games in the playoff round and in the round of 16. We will know for sure who plays who once the draws are finalized on Friday. Don't forget the draws take place at 12 noon Central European Time on Friday, the 30th of January 2026. Do you guys like this new Champions League format? I don't know yet that I do, but I've noticed that there seem to be no meaningless games. In this group stage just concluded, the only meaningless game as at match day 8 was Arsenal's game because they had already won and their opponents were already doomed to exit the tournament. So, I mean, if you think of it that way, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe UEFA did something right. Anyway, thank you for listening. Enjoy the draws on Friday. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.